Hi everybody, how are you doing today? Today is Tuesday, May 26th, and it's actually 1 p.m. I'm coming to the realization that quite a few of us have been struggling with our own unique health problems, and I will probably be sharing some of the things that I've been learning because I really feel strongly that making sure that, and I don't want to tell you what to do. Check with your doctor, of course, because everybody's health situation is very different, just like each neurodivergent person is very different, and we all have different needs. But I've been thinking a lot about food and diet and things we can do to support ourselves. And it's kind of a complicated topic because ultimately there are other things that come along with that, with neurodivergence. So primarily my content has been about ADHD and autism and the struggles I've had and what's been working. And lately, the last few months, I've been struggling with some health issues, and I've been diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome. There seems to be a higher percentage of health problems for people who are autistic, maybe ADHD, or both. And I know from what I've learned, a lot of it has to do with the additional stresses that we take on navigating a neurotypical world where our brains are wired different. But also we can't filter out the sensory sensitivities, and so there are stresses with that, and then the masking and everything else. So it's complicated, right? I might struggle with immune issues and chronic fatigue syndrome. Somebody else, and then of course I have coexisting comorbidities of major depression and anxiety, which they seem to go hand in hand. I want to say, I don't know if I'm primarily ADHD. I'm pretty sure I'm autistic as well, but I'm not tested yet. I think it's really important to talk about these health issues. But it's hard too because there's so much I don't know. I'm just one person here in the world who is struggling with my issues and how it affects me. And you could find another person who is ADHD, is autistic perhaps, is a later undiagnosed woman of my age. You can even factor in different variables that are similar to me. And because we're each unique, we still may have different health problems, or even with the same health problems, we might deal with them differently. We all have unique genetics. We have different cultures we come from, different backgrounds. Our bodies handle things differently. And so I think it's really important to talk about it, but at the same time, I also want to be mindful that there are almost like two elephants in the room about neurodivergence and anything talking about diet or food. One, just to get this out of the way, of course, I'm not a doctor. I had a year of nursing school. I did take anatomy and physiology. I did take microbiology. I did have a pre-existing degree and license. And spilled my breakfast shake on myself a little while ago. I have to clean that. In phlebotomy, I have some medical schooling, but I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not a dietitian. I'm not an expert. So it's really important that as you watch any videos that I may post about diet and lifestyle, to filter it through what works for you and what you can and can't have. Some people have Crohn's disease, and they have to have a very specific diet for that. Some people have viruses like different kinds of herpes viruses. There's a diet for that. And the reason why I bring that up is Epstein-Barr, which is connected with chronic fatigue, is a type of herpes virus. So if it's reactivated with you, a high lysine diet might be helpful. We can talk about that if you want. Also, if you're an older person and you have had shingles and you are taking antivirals and trying to suppress that, a lysine diet would be helpful for that. I've had my own health issues where I've had to do things like that. And that's overwhelming. If you're menopausal, there's a diet for that. And then, of course, there's every single fad diet in the world. There's keto. There's everything. It gets really complicated. And I didn't even say the two elephants in the room. So what things are more common for, or maybe a little bit more common for a neurodivergent population than the average neurotypical population is ARFID, avoidant, was it ARFID, avoidant restrictive, something about food. Yeah, food ingestion. I don't remember, but it has to do with particularly a lot with autism. If you have the food sensitivities and the smells and certain foods makes you feel nauseous, this may be really difficult. So this is something I can't really talk about yet, but I think it's very important to talk about diet. And I've been trying to think about how I want to approach this. Now, for me, I've always had an interest in, I would like to learn more about things that are holistic, as well as things, it's important to be open to things as they're becoming peer-reviewed, which means proven. I'm interested in learning about what biohacking is, but there is a danger to go do things that aren't safe. The ethylene blue or methylene blue, please don't take it. Please don't take it. I found out it's really bad. Don't do it. Some people are doing that for CFS and it's dangerous. I can get into something about that and why. It's just because, do I want to get into that right now? There are certain things that, because they're alternative, they sound great to us. But it's important that if we're going to try some things that might be alternative, we need to very carefully make sure that they are safe. For instance, you have to be careful about your sources of getting herbal medications, especially tinctures. There are disreputable sources that there are like lead and other kinds of things in them that are very bad for you. And so if you aren't careful, you might have things that are doing the opposite for you. When I heard about the methylene blue, it just made me think of, do you guys hear of that cult? I guess they still exist, but not God is love, we are love. I forget, with that lady, and she was taking her silver, colloidal silver, but colloidal silver is not meant to be ingested. And she just kept doing it and kept doing it and kept doing it, and eventually her skin turned gray because her body didn't know. Body's not meant to ingest silver. It's one thing if you get the silver from the pharmacy and you put it on a wound. But, so just be very careful. One thing you will not get from me is I will not tell you about things without evidence. That is dangerous. I am not somebody who is a doctor and can recommend anything to you anyway. Not just legally, but morally and ethically, people can get hurt. So I want to make sure that anything I share with you are safe. That's the most important thing. So I guess it's kind of like the anti-diet craze is what I want to do. I kind of want to go over and say, okay, not like Susan Powder, let's stop the insanity, and then do more crazy shit. Like, I guess later on, like, she had some clinic and she was doing colonics for everyone. It's like, dude, your colon does that already. You don't need to be doing that. I don't know. This is just my opinion. I'm going down the weeds. I'm sorry. But diet is really important. What diet is right for you, I don't know. But I do know that if you have ADHD, like I do, if you have autism, you might have something called poor interoception. Interoception is your body's ability to sense, to send you the message that you're tired, you're hungry, you're thirsty, and you have to go to the bathroom. So some of us struggle with that. Sometimes you may not get the feeling you have to go to the bathroom until you have to go, and then you have to run. And so since that's not uncommon for us to struggle with, it's important to look at how we feed ourselves and not to get upset or worried about it, but just to try to slowly integrate ways that we can be more consistent. And it's hard because we're already stressed out. We're already feeling like things that are simple for other people take 10 additional steps for us. So the last thing you want to do is to start going crazy on your food. And stressing out about it isn't helpful either. But if you don't have a digestive illness, like Crohn's or otherwise, and you can eat every so many hours, that's a good start. So that's one of the things that I wanted to share that I've been doing that I think has been helping me slowly get better. One of the things is if you end up having a burnout from autism or ADHD, where the stress that you've been holding inside and the anxiety you have from going in the world and trying to do normal things that are easier for other people that are just really hard for you and you don't know why. And that stress, there is a mind-body connection because you have to hold that in. You can't be melting down in public. You can't be melting down at work or at school. So there's a price you pay for that, and that can make you sick, and it can lead to a burnout, which is kind of like where I'm at, where you may be out of work for a while. Well, if your immune system or your nervous system is kind of frayed because it's just been bathing in stress hormones for so long, you might have to start eating smaller meals every few hours. And the reason why that's really helpful is it slowly starts to teach your nervous system that it's safe. Your body has been in fight or flight for so long that it starts to become really sensitized. And so things that it normally bounces back from, like going too long without eating, might suddenly feel like a crisis to your body. It might not bounce back from it as well. You might get more lightheaded. You might get headaches. You might feel very sick, and it might happen suddenly. So if you can do small things, either a reminder on your phone, like me, I should be eating right now. Actually, I should go do that. I try to do things on the 3s. So whenever I have my first meal, I'll track it. I use my AI assistant on my phone, Gemini, to do a meal journal. And I tell him what my goals are and what my macro goals are. I have to keep telling him now because I've changed it since I've started gaining more weight than I meant to. And I'm really uncomfortable now in my clothes. I can't zip up my pants, and it's now a boundary to getting out of my house. But it is a process. It is something to be patient with yourself and forgive yourself. You want to start to cherish your body, and it sounds hokey, it sounds stupid, but I can't tell you or anyone what they should be eating because I honestly don't know. And what's safe for me may not be, like, I might have to have a lot of dairy and I can digest it. Maybe somebody else that wouldn't work. So when I do videos about them, make sure to filter out in your mind and if you want to use what I'm trying to do, you can do it. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you how to, I'm going to teach you how to find out what calories you should have. Well, I'm going to share with you my process. I can't teach you yet. It's kind of like I'm teaching you, but with a disclaimer that don't just do it because I say it. Because I don't know. I'm still learning. I'm not a credible expert in this. I'm not a nutrition. And so if you do something and it's right for me and it's not right for you, make adjustments. Don't make yourself sick. It's hard to say don't be rigid. Well, it triggers demand avoidance. It does with me. And it's been really hard for me learning this process too, because I keep making adjustments and I keep trying to figure out what the right, recipe for how often I should eat and how much I should eat. And I keep kind of tweaking it. But it's a good process to go through because your body will tell you. And so you can personalize it for you as you go. Which, if you're doing it that way, and you're talking with your doctor to make sure that you're getting enough calories for your particular health situation, the whole point of what I'm trying to do is to cut through the diet madness and to see what do I actually need to feed my body. We need carbs, protein, and fat. We need them. Now, some people have health problems and they have to go on something like keto. I had a family member who had a systemic yeast infection in her blood. That could be deadly. Any kind of systemic infection in your blood can be deadly. And so she had to do that because eating any kind of carbs or sugar feed it. But that's an extreme example. If you're doing low carb, if you are doing it with the doctor, listen to them, not me. These are just my opinions and I'm not an expert. But maybe if I share some of the things I'm doing soon with you and walk you through my process of how I'm trying to find out what's safe for me, maybe there's something you can take from that and try it for yourself. My goal is to try to share with you how I'm finding this information out, and then also how to know what's safe, so that when you do talk to your doctor, you have some kind of a basis and you know it'll help you make good decisions. But the doctors, they go to school for this stuff for a reason, and I definitely don't. If somebody has a health issue and something that I do that's healthy for me would be harmful, don't do it. That's all. And because, especially with EDs, so there is a higher percentage of, and I'm not going to discuss this, so there's no trigger, eating disorders are higher percentage with autism. Maybe for ADHD, I'm not sure. But it makes sense because we want things to be a certain way. We want to repeat it, and we want to feel control of our environment or our body, and it makes sense. It makes sense. OCD is a very common thing to have. I don't know how common, and I don't have the numbers right off the top of my head, but I know the prevalence of it is more. And if you look at what autism is like for some people. Not everyone, because we're all different and we all have vastly different struggles. I might not have it. I might just have ADHD with a lot of the common issues that some people with autism have. I can make eye contact and I can have conversation and I can make small talk. I hide it, but I get overwhelmed when I go into like grocery stores, and depending on the day. I do know if I go without eating, like I swear I could get sidetracked, side quest for like hours. I could go 8 hours and not even eat. I just don't even remember to eat, and it will feel like not much time. So I don't know. I think it's a good conversation to have. I'm not an expert to teach anyone anything, but I don't see people really talking about their process and how they make sure that they get enough nutrition through the day. I mean, do you know how many calories you should eat? It's not for us to get. The important thing is the mindset you approach it with. Approach it from like a health mindset, that you're trying to find out what is best and works best for you. I don't know, maybe different bodies work, like different people work better with different kinds of fuel. But I know we need some carbs, I know we need some fat, and I know we need some protein. We do. And if you cut out a major food group, you're going to be in trouble. And especially if you're in burnout or if you have chronic fatigue syndrome, you don't want to be doing that. That's very harmful because your body needs certain things that are in the fat. Don't cut out your fat. Your body uses the fats to build up the myelin around your nerves and your nervous system. So if your nerves are frayed and you're constantly in fight or flight and you can't shut that shit off and you're in burnout and you can't regulate your nervous system and it's just frayed, your body is kind of like knocking you down, making you rest, because it's like, dude, we can't go backwards now. We're doing damage at this point. So we're going to like retire you for a while, like taking the car and putting it in the garage and not driving. And it sucks. It's awful because we can't buy groceries. We can't take care of our family. It's a horrible thing. So as much as I hate to do it, and it feels like a job, I don't want to spend all this energy thinking about what I eat. So the trick is to figure out, okay, what is the most important things that you need for your health and your particular health situation. And then if you have to start like a journal or a notebook, just start writing it down. Talk to your doctor. Say, how many calories should a woman or a man of this age with these health problems that I have, what should I be making sure I get in my body in some way? And this is why it's hard for me to talk about it, because somebody who has Crohn's disease can't eat the same thing as somebody else. Somebody who has dairy intolerance can't eat the same thing as somebody else. So it's not so much about what I'm eating as it is, let's find a way that we can help each other learn how to take better care of ourselves so that we're not putting additional stress on our nervous system that's already stressed out. And slowly over time, see, that will keep you in burnout. Each time you go, you're not going to die. You're going to feel like crap. You're not going to die if you miss eating everything. Like, it's not like the end of the world. But learning how to do it in a regular way somehow. I can't put reminders and alarms in my phone because it's very triggering for me. So I don't. But because I'm stuck in bed part of the time anyway, I use Gemini, which is interactive, which I look forward to sharing that with you guys. I haven't had the energy to go look for my old phone. I can't think of how to do it. I'm not a professional. I'm just a person who's sick and has ADHD and is just talking into my phone. But yeah, I got to get the old phone. I was thinking if I can get Gemini and put it on the old phone, I can record with this one and then talk to it and show you exactly how I interact with it. And that's just what's working for me. I might share that with you, and that might be like, whoa, that's too much. I don't want that. That's fine too. But in doing this and sharing these things with you, it's just to help give you some ideas and put you in the driver's seat of starting to feel in control of your life again. And it doesn't have to be right away. You want it to be like 5 years ago, maybe 10, 20 years ago. But we have to start where we're at. Forgive yourself as much as you can for what you haven't been able to do, because nobody really teaches us this, right? It's funny. It's like the basics things. And then it all depends on how you were raised in the family you grew up in. There's like, we all come from different countries. We have different cultures. The foods that we have available to us are all very different. So yeah, I've been kind of struggling with how to bring this up, but I think it's very important. I'm shooting for every 3 hours, and I noticed that now I've kind of like trained my body to know it's getting food every 3 hours. It doesn't matter when my first meal is, it just knows, and I'll start getting a hot flash. And I start getting pins and needles and stuff. And now those might just be hot flashes, but what ends up happening is if you are menopausal and you get a hot flash because now your sugar's getting low, I'm using it like a check engine light. If my body's stressed enough that it's not able to regulate things and it starts giving me hot flashes, and so now I'm not as like homeostasis is kind of disrupted, I know also that what ends up happening, what I've been learning, when your blood sugar goes down because you've gone too long without eating, it dumps cortisol or adrenaline. Like, it will actually, that's why people like get hangry. That's a reason you never hear hangry, where you're hungry and you're angry. There's a reason for that. It's like stress hormones, because your body doesn't know when you're going to feed it. You know you're going to go eat, but your body doesn't, and it's panicking now that it's starving. It's not, but so it dumps cortisol. And normally that's just more of annoyance, but now if you have sensory sensitivities and your blood sugar goes down, your sensitivities might get worse. You're not only going to be cranky if your blood sugar is low, sounds might be extra loud. Crowds and lights might be extra bad. So what can we do to train our body to learn that it's safe? And it sounds backwards because it's about food, but it's been helping me in all these other ways that I didn't even realize that just going without eating was actually making my ADHD worse. And I think I knew, but I was like, yeah, I can't do that right now. I can't, that's too, if you even explained that to me before I got sick, I probably would have been like, oh my God, I can't do that. That's too much. Because it's tracking and it's planning and all that. That's why I like Gemini. I don't have to think about it. I just start talking to him and I'll say, I'm ready to do my next meal. And I just start eating the stuff. I say, hey, I'm having an apple. This is the apple. And he'll start tallying up. And he'll start talking to me, and it gets kind of annoying because you can turn the volume part off so you don't have to hear him. But he'll start going protein, carbs, fat. And I know there's a certain amount I need to reach for a meal. And I'll just keep eating until I get to it. So that solves the problem of me not knowing what I'm going to eat and not being able to do grocery shopping. I have to eat with what's around me. So sometimes I'll be like, oh, because you don't even think about it. Before I might just get hungry, go 8 hours without eating, and then be like, oh, we have Lucky Charms. Eat Lucky Charms. which sounded like a good idea at the time because you're freaking hungry and you don't care. And then you get a headache because there's no protein in it. There's no fat in there to buffer the sugar. Who knew? I didn't know that if you have carbs by themselves, that's the same. It's like puts the sugar high, sugar crash, insulin release, hot flash, and stress hormones. And that's a stress on your nervous system. So these little things that you can do, trying to eat smaller meals every 3 or 4 hours, if you can, don't feel black and white about it. Start to experiment until you can find something that's not going to be stressful for you. Because ultimately, the diet that you actually gets you to eat is if it's that or nothing, if that's all you have, eat the Lucky Charms. But if you have like mozzarella sticks, if you have protein powder, if you have some cold cuts in the fridge, so you can just take whatever random things you have and you can do this. And as you're snacking, just have the protein stuff first. Have a little fat. And then when you have the carbs, they're not hitting an empty stomach, blood sugar spike, immediate. I can't even believe that worked like magic. It worked like magic. I didn't have to cut out sugar. I just had to change how I ate it. I do notice that now I'm used to not having so much of the like super sugary foods. I'm having it in different forms like fruit and it was like it's been a gradual progression. So if you could figure out how to do it in a way that works for you without it feeling like a bunch of rules and a really strict diet, that's how you want to do it. And think of it as like a game, you know? Not like you're going to die if you don't do it, but hey, guess what? I just ate after. Hey, I remembered to eat and it's only been a few hours. I don't have a headache. Especially if you have chronic fatigue, don't wait until you're hungry. If you have autism or ADHD and you have poor interoception and you don't really feel like you're hungry, you always forget to eat, especially if you're taking stimulant medication that reduces your appetite, you're not going to be eating all the time. So figure out the right amount of food and the right kind of food, and you do it in a way. That's the trick. That's the trick. And it's hard in the beginning. So think of it as a process. So if you decide to start doing something like this, what works for you will be your system, will be your way of doing things. And you can hack it however you want to. You can shortcut it however you want to. You just figure out ahead of time to know how many calories are you supposed to get a day, just so that it doesn't have to be exact, or like how much carbs or how much fat, like how much of these things should you have about. And then as you start to pay attention to these things, if you want to like make a note on a calendar, it doesn't have to be a huge project. Maybe even start with something small, like a small change. One small change. Like maybe you eat a lot of carbs when you don't get enough protein. Maybe it takes a while to figure out what is something I could get at the grocery store that I could just have on hand, that when I'm running low on food, I can just eat and know I have some extra protein if you don't have enough. What would that be for you? Hard-boiled eggs, some cans of tuna fish, having mozzarella sticks on hand. I think for ADHD, the trick would be things that are easy to just grab and eat. I don't know about you guys, but if the junk food is easier and I'm craving it and it doesn't take 10 steps, I'm making that, because I can't even cope with cooking. I can't do it. I won't do it. Even when I'm well, I just can't be bothered. If it's a microwave meal and I can just stick it in the microwave and cook it for 4.5 minutes and then be done with it, good. Anyway, yeah, I was curious how it is for you guys with diet and eating. It can get very crazy. Very crazy, and I think there's a lot of misinformation and it's hard to get back to basics. And I don't know enough about fasting to feel like that's safe. And my take is, well, I'm fasting when I'm sleeping anyway. You can reduce calories, but anyways, if you have CFS, don't do that. Don't do fasting. That's all I know. That's the consensus that I'm getting, is pretty much what I'm already doing now, which I notice that if I go too long without eating, it's bad. I'll get dizzy. I did notice the last week that my symptoms are starting to get better, but I'm afraid to push my luck too much. You guys would be really proud of me. On Friday, I did an errand and I did a doctor's appointment in one day. That was huge. And I've been kind of like cooped up in the house, but that's okay. And I'm going to try to start figuring out how to have some kind of a routine. I don't know how to do it when I don't know how I'm going to feel from day to day. I give myself demand avoidance really bad. But I really wish I could have a routine. But yeah, I eat pretty much, this organization that I put some links to in my community tab. So far, what he's saying is sound. Well, what I've seen is sound. He's saying the same thing that I was feeling, is, you should eat every few hours. And he said the same thing that I was thinking and that I've been learning separately, is you want to train your nervous system that it's safe. And if going without eating, which seems silly because it's just food, right? But every time you eat regularly, there's no correct, stay away from the health experts. If they're not actual health experts and they're not your doctor, there's so many people out there claiming to be health experts that might be giving out misinformation. So, get information from different sources if you want to. The Mayo Clinic is peer reviewed. They have some older information when it comes to ADHD, which I was not happy about. But that was a couple years ago. I'll have to go back and see if it's still there. But yeah, if you're getting information from studies, you want to get from studies that talk about multiple studies versus just one random study. Or, there are some doctors. There are some people who are calling themselves doctors and went to medical school and giving poor information that isn't necessarily safe. There's one video on that CFS Health where the guy was saying I don't know if he was saying just drink celery juice, and the guy running CFS Health is like, that's really dangerous. So it's really hard, and I'm still learning. When we were younger, I don't know if you grew up in the 80s, the food pyramid was simple. There wasn't like 10 million different diets. You made sure that you had a veggie, a fruit, or a veggie, and a meat. So even like our sandwiches, well, except for like even peanut butter and jelly. Well, there was a lot of junk food, wait. Yeah. But even like peanut butter and jelly, there's fat in there and there's protein. Yeah, it's such a complicated issue. I don't feel qualified to talk about eating disorders. I've had some struggles that led me to think that I've had some level of not diagnosed OCD, but OCD-like traits in some ways. I do have the body-focused repetitive behavior things with the skin picking. Some people bite their nails, some people pull out their hair, like pluck out the hairs. Some people grind their teeth and can't stop. Some people, that's a type of OCD. Some eating disorders is from trauma. Some eating disorders is you have like, more predisposition to it with autism. There's a lot I don't know. And yeah, I don't have those issues. So I don't want to speak about things that I'm not knowledgeable about. I know suffering. I've gone through my own traumas and things, just like a lot of other people. But maybe I dealt with it differently. Nobody is better than anybody else. And somebody who struggles with that, you are not less. That is a terrible thing to have to struggle with. You are not less. It is not your fault. I have a very dear friend, and I won't say anything about them. Keep it very anonymous, but I have a very, very dear person in my life who struggles with Puro. And that's a type of OCD that, and I wouldn't want to wish that on anyone. And this person struggles with it so badly, and they blame themselves because they can't stop it from happening. They can't stop the obsessive thoughts. And I feel so much for them. And I wish I could take it away from them but I can see how there's so much. I'm not a good resource for that, for the eating disorders. I have tremendous empathy, and I want to help everyone I can, but I'm not. Me saying I could or pretending I could is not helpful. It would be hurtful. It would be harmful. So I'll stick with my wheelhouse, and I'll share things that I've learned in my life and what has helped me as I go. And hopefully you'll be able to use some of it and tailor it to your particular situation. Of course, anyone who does not feel safe, if you are a situation where your health is to the point where you're a fall risk, I know it sucks, but call 911. Somebody had commented that they fell, and that's really scary because you can lose your independence. It makes it worse. My mom has had multiple falls last year, and I almost fell a few months back. Well, I did fall last September and have an arm injury that still isn't really healed, but I had a vasovagal response where the room was spinning suddenly and I almost fell, and that was quite scary. So if you have a health problem and you get those things, even more important to see your doctor to look at how you can support that and manage it to the best of your ability. Support it with finding out how you can get on some kind of an eating schedule. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. Don't scare yourself. Start with something small, like a small change, and then try different things. It's a process, and it will take a while. If you try to do it all at once, you're going to overwhelm yourself. And you're already struggling, right? You're already overwhelmed with being sick or being neurodivergent. So be patient with yourself and forgive yourself. If you're anything like me, you're going to get pissed off. You're going to try to go all gung-ho, and it's going to be like, I can't do this. And you're just going to go back, don't do that. I feel like there's nothing in our culture. We've got commercials 24/7 on TV. Eat this, drink that, do this, do that. And nothing brings us back to basics anymore of how to protect our bodies and keep ourselves safe and eat the right amount of food. But I hope this is helpful. I'm thinking about you guys. This is like more of a resting period right now, but I am going to get up and I'll do a video soon and update you with my what's going on and what's next for me in this process. And I love you guys, and do something kind for yourself. And I'm going to do that. at some point today, I'm going to try to go outside and take off my shoes and socks and rub my feet on the ground and do some earthing. Sounds crazy, but it'll feel nice. It'll be nice to not be stuck in bed. And I'm going to try to get out. And I will tell you how that goes. And I hope you're doing well. And I'll see you guys soon. Let me know if this is helpful. And I'm really glad if it is. Like I said, always just be really careful the information that you get. It's a lot of work, I know. And I wish there were quick fixes. I wish there were. But every little thing that you learn as you learn about your unique body, your unique health, and your unique neurodivergent brain and nervous system, think of this as a process that is you're developing your own owner's manual for you. You deserve it. Why are you any less than anyone else? You're just as deserving as everyone else. So you might have to take care of yourself differently. Like some vehicles need diesel and some vehicles don't. Like maybe you need different kinds of everything. And this is a journey for you. And you deserve that. You deserve to know how to keep yourself fed and safe. And it's going to help you manage your neurodivergence so much better if you can. If you can. And then the attitude that we develop as we go, of my counselor would say, being compassionately curious. Like on the days that you get really pissed off at yourself, be compassionately curious. Oh, that's interesting. So that you learn your habits of the things that you do that may be not as helpful. So we can start to unlearn some of it. And I'm working on it too. It's a work. We're all works in progress. And I hope this has been helpful in some way. And I love you guys, and I'll see you soon. Bye.